Hello and good evening. My name is Raquel Batista and I am your host of Critica.NYC, a show dedicated to learning about the work and politics of the Latinx community in New York City and beyond. Today's show topic is on the right to choose in the Dominican Republic. And quite frankly, that really is a misnomer, because really at this point, what the Dominican government is considering is an exception to the rule that abortion is illegal and a crime in the Dominican Republic. In Latin America and in the Caribbean, there are 4 other countries that also criminalize abortion. Those are Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, and the Dominican Republic. Recently, there's been debates around what is called las tres casuales, which are 3 exceptions where a woman would be able to get an abortion if 1, her life is at stake, 2, if the pregnancy is not viable, and 3, if the pregnancy was the result of rape and incest. This is very far from what many of us know of what occurs here in the United States, where a woman has a right to choose to have an abortion up until a certain amount of time of the pregnancy where she is no longer able to terminate. And these issues are always up for debate in the United States all the time. We hear these debates during the presidential elections. We hear them during congressional races. And we always hear of folks who are either pro-choice or pro-life. In the Dominican Republic, the debate, we could say, isn't even quite there yet. Right now, it's very much a conversation around preserving the life of women who are in danger because of their pregnancies. Today, we are joined by 3 guests. We have Gina Goico, who is an artist and activist who's been working on this issue from here in the United States, from the Bronx. She is currently in a master's program, right? And you're going to get your PhD from in Performing and Media Arts at Cornell University. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes,
and we have 2 sisters. One who we've had on the show in the past, Reverend Arelis Figueroa, who is one of the founders of the Latino ministry at Riverside Church, together with her sister, Reverend Betania Figueroa, who is in the Dominican Republic and who recently came out supporting the women who've been on the front lines in the Dominican Republic fight for las casuales, the 3 exceptions, and she has been dismissed by the evangelical church. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Great. Let's start with Gina. Gina, can you tell us a little bit about your involvement? What brought you to getting involved on this issue, and what do you see happening right now?
Yeah, so thank you again, Raquel, for having me, and I'm really happy to be alongside these powerful women. I migrated into the Dominican Republic from the Dominican Republic. Sorry, it was 8 years ago now, and back then I was out there in front of the Congress in 2009, when we were fighting for this article in the Constitution not to be added. And I'm talking about Article 37, which says that the right of life cannot be violated from its conception. So I was there when this whole melodrama started, And I can't believe it's been almost 11 years and we're still fighting for it. So I have a lot of connections. I have a lot of activists that are camping right now in front of the palace. And a group of women that I have been lucky to find out here in diaspora have been following all of what's happening in the Dominican Republic. We recognize that we have a privilege of being out here and not being constantly facing these human rights violation, because that's the fact, right? Like, it's not even about choice, as you said at the beginning. It's more about even saving our lives or having a dignified life in case we suffer rape. So currently, we have made 2 manifestations the last 2 weeks, and the plan is to continue mobilizing in diaspora as long as this is happening. We're not going to stop until we have causales in the Dominican Republic.
Yes, and actually, I was reading a report that was put out by Human Rights Watch back in 2018, where they essentially lay out the necessity of having these 3 exceptions at this point. And they made several demands, not only of the National Congress in the Dominican Republic, but also the president, the judiciary, the Ministry for Women and Children, the Inter-American Court, which is based in Costa Rica, and other entities within the Dominican Republic, to really put pressure to address these issues in a real systemic way, right? Because what we're seeing is, as a result of having these sorts of laws, it really leaves women and girls in very vulnerable positions. The Dominican Republic has one of the highest rates of teen pregnancy in all of Latin America and the Caribbean. 3 out of 10 women between the ages of 15 and 19 are mothers. And the list goes on, right? And this is, in the issue of, right, pregnancy, but then there's also the other after effects, right? When we talk about domestic violence, and that the Dominican Republic has one of the highest rates of femicides in the world. And all of this really stems from this very misogynistic and patriarchal system that is very strong still in the Dominican Republic, and very much supported by the church, right? Whether it be the Catholic Church or other Christian denominations like the Evangelical Church. So, today, right, we have las reverendas Arelis y Betania Figueroa, who are going to talk a little bit about their role on this issue, and how it's been impacting them on a very personal basis. If we can start with La Reverenda Betania Figueroa, she's going to be speaking to us in Spanish, and her sister will be translating for us. Betania, si usted puede empezar a hablar un poco sobre su trayectoria y el trabajo que tú has hecho alrededor de esta campaña.
Buenas tardes, como ya he sido presentada, mi nombre es Betania Figueroa, reverenda de la Iglesia Evangélica Dominicana. Y desde toda la vida nací en el Evangelio, pero nacido literal. Mi mamá, doña Melania Figueroa, y mi padre, el reverendo Alejandro Figueroa, quien fue por mucho tiempo el secretario ejecutivo, por 12 años consecutivos, el secretario ejecutivo de la Iglesia Evangélica Dominicana. Él ya falleció. En estos momentos yo formo parte de una plataforma virtual de organizaciones basadas en la fe, donde tenemos el compromiso de promover los derechos humanos. Y en la conformación aquí en el país nos acompañan otras organizaciones cristianas que fuimos invitados a participar en un momento de oración dentro del campamento que tienen las mujeres frente al Palacio Nacional, donde le están haciendo un reclamo al gobierno y a las autoridades que cumplan la promesa que hizo en campaña el presidente de permitir que en el Código Penal pueda existir 3 excepciones.
Okay, vamos a...
Una cosa. Muchachos.
So basically, Betania just said that, like me, she was born in the church. Our father, Reverend Alejandro Figueroa, was for 12 years the executive secretary of the church. And our mother, Melania Rollins, also involved in the church, went to seminary also. So she was invited by this coalition of religious organization and the Catholic for the Right to Choose to lead a prayer service in front of the National Palace, the Palacio Nacional.
Sí.
Because they have been like a camping there supporting these 3 causales, these 3 causes for the abortion. That's where everything started. And now, Betania, I think that Raquel also wants to know, what is your role in the church right now? Betania, Raquel quiere saber cuál es tu rol en la iglesia ahora mismo.
Bueno, yo me desempeño como la directora del Departamento de Educación Cristiana de la iglesia, donde producimos todos los materiales para la escuela dominical, para las escuelas de extensión y para las temporadas, como estamos ahora en temporada, ya pasó la temporada de Cuaresma y de Adviento, también producimos materiales para estas temporadas especiales. Y organizamos los campamentos de los adolescentes, de los niños, orientamos y capacitamos a las maestras de las escuelas bíblicas, ya sea de extensión, dominical y todo lo que implica la capacitación. También soy una de las era.
One of her role is the director of the Office of Christian Education in the Evangelical Dominican Church. So that means that she is in charge to produce the educational material for the youth and for the adults. Also to coordinate the summer camps and to train the teachers, train the facilitators that are going to be working with the youth during the summer.
So Reverend Betania Figueroa is a part of the executive leadership of the evangelical church in the Dominican Republic. And La Reverenda made the decision, right, to come out publicly in support of las tres casuales, the 3 exceptions on the criminalization of abortion, right? And so when she came out, can you tell us about what happened?
Entonces, que cuando tú hiciste esa declaración, que nos diga qué pasó cuando tú hiciste declaraciones. Y es bueno aclarar si fue una cosa que tú saliste con eso o de dónde vino esa declaración. ¿Por qué tú tienes esa posición ahora?
Como les decía, fue un momento de oración. Y yo tomé el texto bíblico de Lucas, cuando nos narra que Jesús va al templo y ve a la mujer que está encorvada en el templo, se le acerca, la toca y la libera. Y las autoridades del templo se molestan, pero Jesús le otorga la libertad y el pueblo se alegra. Yo decía que ese texto es paralelo a lo que se está viviendo en el día de hoy. Y que con el sufrimiento de las mujeres, necesitamos opciones para que las mujeres puedan ser liberadas en sus momentos difíciles, como es el decidir cuando un niño tiene discapacidad. Eso fue básicamente lo que yo dije. Yo no fui, ni siquiera dije que estoy a favor de las 3 causales, ni mencioné las 3 causales. Fue en la reflexión que se puede inferir que yo estoy aprobando las 3 causales.
As I said before, that was a prayer service. So I choose the text on Luke, in the Gospel of Luke, when Jesus actually healed a woman, and everybody was against that. But he decided to give her healing and liberation. And I make the connection between what is happening now with the women, because the women also now and then and today in DR need to have options. That's what I say. What is the option that women have when they are in this situation, when they are either raped or the fetus, the children will have malformation, or her life is in danger. But actually, I didn't mention the 3 causales. I did my reflection, and in my reflection, you can infer, you can know that I am for the 3 causales, for the 3 causales.
Okay, but is the Reverend for it? I mean, I'm assuming that she is.
Quiero preguntarte que si tú la apoyas las 3 causales.
Sí, sí, seguro. Son justas.
Yes, definitely.
Y la aprendí en la iglesia, la aprendí con mi papá, la aprendí con el reverendo Luis Tomás, pastores que nos antecedieron a nosotros, que fueron nuestros mentores y nuestros formadores, donde lo principal es estar al lado de las personas que sufren. Y ese es un detalle que no quieren escuchar. En medio de tanto ruido, no se ponen un momento para escuchar realmente cuál es la posición. Que a fin de cuentas, para un pastor, una pastora, no es una posición, porque debemos acompañar a la gente en su decisión y en su sufrimiento. Ese es el detalle ahí cuando decimos de decidir.
Yeah, of course, I am for it, and that is why what I was saying is that the role of the church is precisely to accompany the people in their suffering, and that is why my position came something that I learned in the church.
Thank you so much.
I learned from my father. I learned from other reverend that came before me, Reverend Luis Thomas, and I'm going to add, who in 2017 did the same pronunciation in favor of the 3 causales. But at that time, there was a man. So I am for it.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, because I think, just going to the point, and why are we spending, time talking about the role of the church? The Dominican Republic is a Christian nation. The majority of the population is Roman Catholic or affiliated to some Christian denomination. And many, are very active, right, in the church. And, given even this week is Semana Santa, people are preparing for Easter, and a lot of Dominican folks, in the Dominican Republic and here in the United States take it very seriously, right? Not only right going to church, but making our habichuela con dulce and, you know, all the other things that we prepare. But, you know, reflecting on that, you know, I hear about my own experience, right? I went to Catholic schools from first grade to college. And, you know, there was always a lot of focus around the right to life movement, you know, and I at one point was active in the right to life movement. But then, you know, as I grew up and I really started thinking more about, you know, my own life, the life of the women around me, what people wanted to do with their lives, you know, whether or not they were ready to, you know, bring forth life or to have a child, and really think about, you know, this whole idea of the woman's right to choose. And, you know, I had watched a documentary a few months ago, which was produced by Eva Longoria, that's about Roe versus Wade. And, you know, in that movie, they highlight the role of the Catholic Church in being pro-choice and in helping women being able to get safe abortions, right? Dignified abortions, not to have these back alley medical procedures done, right? And, you know, we see how that all of that really changed over the years as the conservative right really took more of a hold. But what's interesting in the United States is at one point, the Republicans were very much pro-choice, you know, because fundamentally they really believe in the individual and the individual's right to choose to do what they want with their life, including whether they want to wear a mask or not. So, you know, it's really interesting to then fast forward, you know, decades later and to see how this issue is used. So Gina, you know, I want to turn it to you, you know, tell us a little bit more about what's happening, you know, within the movements in the DR and here. And you know, how can more people really get involved on this issue?
Yeah, thank you. But so as I said, I came just 8 years ago, and I do know about Roe versus Wade. So it was interesting to see how it shifts the perspective of the Catholic Church in the Dominican Republic versus here. Even though we have factions of the Catholic Church, as Reverend Betania said, that are for the causales, for the exceptions. Most of like the clear-cut line for the Catholic Church is we are not for it. And that's why one of the things that I wanted to talk about is how actually this Thursday, Noam Chomsky is going to be talking about what is happening in the Dominican Republic and how the 3 exceptions are a human's right issue. It's not even like thinking about choosing, because we're not even there. So this Thursday, if you follow RD Tres Causales, RD3, the number 3, Causales, which is CAUS, ALES, you can see all the programming that the camp has. So that is the official account. As I said before, we are here just echoing and amplifying what is happening in front of the National Palace in the Dominican Republic. This, right now, the Congress is not in session, as you said. We are in Semana Santa, so no one is working in the Dominican Republic, but the camp is very much active. Every day they bring people to talk. The Cañeros, I think, were yesterday there. So there's also an intersection across the whole republic, right? Like there's so many fronts that we're fighting for basic rights. And everyone understands how the Tres Causales is one of the most important ones, because this way we protect children too, because unfortunately, with the cases of teenage and pedophilia in our country, we're also talking about children's right. So we're going to continue. As I said, we're still going to set the date, but we're going to make a little picket in front of the UN, La Misión de las Naciones Unidas en la República Dominicana. I don't know how to say that in English.
The UN mission in of the United States in the Dominican Republic.
There you go. Sometimes I'm full Spanglish. I forget English. So we're going to make a new picket over there because we are now really wanting to focus on this is a human rights situation. We need to address it because as we continue, and something that Reverend Betania said, this was a promise that Luis Abinader, our current president, set. Like the moment I get into power, this, like he admitted like how this was a human rights violation. And now he's like cleaning his hands off the issue. And this is why one of the reasons we're not doing any mobilizations in front of the Congress in the Dominican Republic. This is something that we need to keep in mind. Who promised for this to happen was Luis Abinader. And he's now, even though he's like, okay, you can protest in front of the National Palace, he is being inactive. And now there's a proposal for a penal code right now that's going to be debated, which is only in the instance that the life of the mother is in danger and the fetus. And the thing is, the tricky thing about this is that you see that they say in that exception that they have to prove that everything has been done beforehand. So that's the one that they're pushing through. And if anything, the penal code will reinforce what is already in the Constitution, which is jail time for the person who receives the abortion and for those who are aiding on this. And
I understand that the person who, if the person receives an abortion, they can get up to 2 years in jail. And the person who performs it, which is most likely a medical doctor, could get up to 20 years in jail.
Yes. So actually, the person who gets the abortion is 2 to 5 years that you can get in jail. So this is really iffy in the sense that also in case that you practice an abortion at home and you come into a medical center, if you're bleeding, sometimes the medical doctors won't intervene for you because they're afraid of that. It's 20 years in jail. That's how much a rapist gets in the Dominican Republic. So this is why we're like,
when I think about this issue, you know, the person that always comes to mind for me is the case of Arelis Figueroa. And while you know, there was no conversation necessarily about her wanting to get an abortion, but it may have been, right. I wonder what the situation would have been for her if she had the ability to get one instead of ending up dead. And I want to kind of open that up for conversation. Arelis, ¿tú quieres traducir para Betania?
Ella estaba diciendo que lo que le viene a la mente es el caso de Arelis Figueroa.
Oh.
Y pensando que ella se pregunta que quizás si ella hubiese tenido esa opción, quizás esa niña no hubiese tenido muerta.
Sí. Pero ahora mismo hay una situación de una niña que fue violada en una comunidad muy pobre de Asua. Tiene 12 años. Los padres tuvieron que llevarla donde una amiga enfermera en la ciudad. Cuando fue evaluada, su estructura está muy debilitada, está anémica, tiene una profunda anemia. Y los médicos dicen que no está en condiciones de tener ese niño, que ella puede morir. Entonces, frente a los ojos de todos nosotros, esa niña va a morir porque no tiene los recursos para atenderla. Y la ley prohíbe que los médicos le puedan practicar un aborto o suspenderle el proceso de embarazo, porque al médico que lo haga le caben 10 años de prisión y a la madre 2 años de prisión. Entonces, en este caso, vamos a ser testigos del derecho a la vida, o de provida, mejor dicho, como están parte de los grupos aquí que se ha polarizado entre los colores azul claro, provida, y los colores verdes. Yo no estoy a favor de ningún color, yo estoy a favor de la vida que en abundancia nos da Jesucristo. Y eso trasciende todo. Y la dignidad de las personas a recibir el mismo trato. Es una sociedad injusta.
Gracias, Reverenda. Arelis, would you like to translate?
You want to help me?
I can help you if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the Reverend was talking about how currently, like she thinks about Emily Peguero, but right now we have a real life situation again in the Dominican Republic where a child, a 12-year-old child who is in a really impoverished area in the Dominican Republic, she is pregnant and she is in no condition to continue the pregnancy. She has anemia, or her analysis shows that if she continues this pregnancy and actually tries to give birth, her life will end. So that is a clear example of how right now in the Dominican Republic, the fight that we're pushing for, and she said the pro-lifers, which people in the camp refer to them as anti-right people, like these people are fighting for a supposed life and not the actual life of a child. So she brought up again how if she practices this child the abortion, she might get jail time, and whoever aids her in this process will also get jail time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
It's good to point out that this girl was raped with just 12 years and was raped.
Yes, and this is horrible, right? And you know, it sounds like naturally, right, the next step would be, right, so now in the Dominican Republic, child marriage is banned, right? So that just recently happened in like the last 2 months or so. Mm-hmm. And so it would just follow that, right, naturally, these 3 exceptions should really be happening immediately. And we really can't be waiting any longer. I just wanted to quote something from the Human Rights Watch report that was published in November of 2018. It says, in the Dominican Republic, 35% of women and girls ages 15 to 49 who were ever married or in a union have experienced some form of domestic violence, including physical, emotional, and sexual violence by an intimate partner. And in addition, approximately 1% girls in the DR has experienced sexual violence in her lifetime. The Dominican has laws addressing domestic violence as well as policies, but these protections are undermined by the blanket prohibition on abortion. Gina, you'd like to comment?
Yeah, that's if you have, and this is something that I have been working with through my art as well, violence and sexual experiences are so intrinsically connected in the experience of Dominican womanhood. And we are not addressing the major issue, which is this patriarchal machista system that deems us expendable or just like this object which they can legislate upon, which we deprive of agency and deprive of rights. So just listening to this, it's heartbreaking because these studies have been going on for so many years. And as you said, we've just passed the complete banning of child marriage in the Dominican Republic. But this was like 20 years fighting for that. And now with this, I think it's going to hit about 25 years fighting for getting an exception. Even though this article was entered into the Dominican Constitution in 2009, the fight for like having protection from the law, because it has been in the law since 1948, the protection for women who have been raped or suffered incest or whose life is in danger or their pregnancy will be unviable has never existed. And what we have then, it's like a clear-cut class issue then. You see that I was born and raised middle class in the Dominican Republic. I could totally get an abortion in the Dominican Republic because corruption exists in our country. And money is what talks to that corruption. So people that are middle class and upper class in the Dominican Republic, they get abortions all the time. If they are ashamed, they can get on a plane and come here to the United States and get that abortion for whatever reason. So what we have is the majority of the Dominican population, which are below the poverty line or in the poverty line, who can't have access to any kind of assistance. So you have them going into patios and getting a percha, like a hanger, or getting teas. And these are Black and brown poor women who are completely vulnerated over and over again in the Dominican Republic. Light skin and privileged Dominicans, they have access to abortion. So it's time to actually have a clear conversation. Who are we protecting and who we don't care about that we're legislating this way in the Dominican Republic?
And what has been the role of the medical professionals in the Dominican Republic? What have they come out, for or against the change in the law?
Betania, el papel de los médicos, ¿cuál ha sido? ¿Se han pronunciado la asociación?
Sí, el Colegio Médico Dominicano se ha pronunciado a favor de las 3 causales, inclusive diciendo que tienen las manos atadas, que no ha podido salvar las vidas de muchas mujeres por ese impedimento que tiene la ley. Quieren decir que hay un artículo que sí lo favorece, pero realmente no es así, porque el médico tiene que dar un dictamen para poder dar esa posibilidad. O sea, es el último recurso, tiene que ser en el proceso, porque si la mujer tiene, por ejemplo, está embarazada y se le presenta que tiene cáncer, en este caso no puede abortar para tratar la quimioterapia. No le puede practicar.
So basically, and also you help me, but basically the Dominican Association of Doctors make a pronouncement, and they are for the 3 exceptions, and they are saying that they actually feel that they have their hands tied and they clearly also said that they are not allowing them to save life. Gina, I know there was more.
Yes. So Betania said how specifically, if you have a woman who has cancer, for example, right now, and we saw that with Esperancita, you can't get even chemotherapy because Esperancita, her real name was Rosaura, and this was the first publicized case in which a young girl died because she didn't get access to an abortion. So this was in 2012. Esperancita, which was the name given to her to protect her identity, she was 16. She had leukemia, and she was pregnant. So when she goes into the hospital, no one wants to touch this girl and provide the treatment that she needed, the life-saving treatment she needed in order, because they needed to preserve the pregnancy. So finally, the doctors decide to act, but it was too late. And not only we lost Esperancita, but that quote unquote baby that the law protects, we also lost that life too.
Wow. Okay. So when does this actually go to a vote? ¿Cuándo va a ser el voto sobre estas excepciones?
Se está leyendo todo el código, todo lo que se ha escrito, todavía no se tiene el final de la lectura porque eso está dentro del Código Procesal Penal. Entonces, la aprobación del código está en lectura y ahora en la lectura es que se va a saber si se incluyó o no. Entonces, no se sabe todavía, aunque se cree que no y que solo se está aprobando una causal, cuando la vida de la madre está en peligro.
So basically, right now they are just reading. They are doing all the reading. They're going through the whole
bill.
Código.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's saying is that maybe they may just approve one exception. If you want to say something else, Gina.
So that exception is the one I was talking at the beginning, which is a mix of the first exception we were talking about, which is in case of the mom's life in danger, and the third one, which is in case of the pregnancy being unviable. So what they're doing, as I said, they're just like taking these two and mixing them together, but the full approval of the three exceptions, it hasn't even been pushed forward in the bill.
So so they're not even addressing the issue of rape and incest?
No, not at all.
So a person would have to have the child that results of rape and incest.
Yes, and unfortunately, it's not going to be the first or last case in the Dominican Republic. A lot of people have been coming out because of how polarized the situation is in the Dominican Republic. And they have been saying how a lot of women that had the child product of rape or incest have given their child to the mother-in-law or something because they can't even, it's re-traumatizing. It's 9 months of re-traumatization, and then you can't even sometimes connect with this child.
And where do the parties stand, the individual parties? Reverenda Betania, ¿a dónde están los diferentes partidos cuando tiene que ver con esta situación?
Eso es bien interesante porque el día que fuimos a hacer ese momento de oración, a seguidas venía el Partido de la Liberación Dominicana apoyando a las mujeres. El presidente apoya a las mujeres en las causales. Algunos diputados están a favor de las causales, pero a la hora de los votos no da. Entonces, tienen un juego con las mujeres porque ellos están midiendo los niveles de popularidad y de suma que le puede dar en cada momento, en función de sus intereses particulares.
So basically, the political party are playing with this issue. They may go to they were in that meeting that Betania was, and yes, they said that they support the women, they are for the women, but when it came to the votes are not there. They are just thinking about the popularity, they are thinking about election. Basically, in Santo Domingo, it's about election.
And what about women representatives? Where are they on the issue? Are any of them coming out in full support?
Yes, but as Arelis said, it's a game, and also we don't have that many actually inside to push a vote in our favor. So, and something that I wanted to bring up regarding even positionality, there's so much, again, the polarization, that there was this person who came forward, El Torito, if you know Dominican music, you know, he's now in there, and he said he was in favor, but quickly, because of the pressure, he had to step back and put a vote against the exception. So there's a political play right now in the Dominican Republic from all areas.
And what about outside groups like Planned Parenthood and other international organizations? What kind of support are they giving to the women who are protesting on the ground? And what can they be doing if they're not doing it already?
Betania, ¿qué apoyo se está recibiendo de organizaciones internacionales como grupos de Planned Parenthood? Si se está recibiendo algún apoyo de esos organismos internacionales.
Realmente no sé cómo se están sosteniendo las compañeras en el campamento, porque es que mi participación fue incidental. Yo fui invitada en un momento para tener un momento de oración, y yo soy amiga de todas ellas porque en otros momentos hemos militado en la causa. Entonces, yo sé que hay una red de solidaridad en torno a ellas que están ahí ya en estos días agotadas, muchas semanas ahí en el campamento. Nosotras fuimos a darle apoyo. Yo pasé en 3 ocasiones, 2 anteriores a esta participación que tuve y que ha generado esta situación en mi persona.
That she said that she doesn't know how actually they are supporting the camp, because they have been there for a long time now. But yes, they have a big network of support, and that she was there in 2 occasions prior to the last time when she did this declaration. That, by the way, that was causing that the result was that the church have suspended her for her functions because of that declaration.
Yeah, I wanted to add, so there are few organizations that are international, but they're based also in the Dominican Republic. So for example, Oxfam RD has been always there supporting this movement. Then you have people like Pro Familia who have played a major role in sexual education in the Dominican Republic, and also the rights of children and women. I am not aware of Planned Parenthood helping abroad, but these 2 entities are well into it and supporting our folk back in the DR.
Yes, y era lo que yo iba a mencionar cuando hablamos de la Iglesia Evangélica Dominicana. When we were talking about the Evangelical Dominican Church, so maybe a lot of people don't know that Pro Familia was founded by the Evangelical Dominican Church. Pro Familia, la Iglesia Evangélica Dominicana, is a founding member. My father, Reverendo Alejandro Figueroa, was the president of the board in several occasions. And Betania continued that relationship with Pro Familia, with Magali Caran, and they are supporting her a lot during this time.
Thank you so much for that background. You know, this is why we need to have these conversations, to learn about the long history and all the connections around these movements. So, you know, so tell me, so what's going to happen with Reverend Betania Figueroa now in relation to her role? Does she want to come back to her leadership role? Do you think that there's that possibility to occur?
Yeah. ¿Qué va a pasar contigo, verdad? Voy a decir que en primer lugar, ella ha sido suspendida. Lo que dijo la iglesia es que la suspendieron. dicho sea de paso, she has been suspended. And by the way, they don't even give them a notice. She learned about this in a general letter that they sent to all the pastors saying that she had been suspended.
So she didn't get a phone call saying, we didn't like what you did. Okay.
Or a notice, right? And now they are feeling the pressure. So creo que va a en las próximas semanas vamos a ver qué van a decir. Betania. ¿Qué va a pasar ahora? ¿Qué tú crees?
Y si usted quiere volver, ¿tú quieres volver a tu rol que tú tenías con la iglesia?
Bueno, no sé, yo estoy en las manos del Señor, yo soy una sierva del Señor. No es lo mismo, algunos compañeros se han expresado de una manera hiriente, pero yo los entiendo porque es un momento de mucha pasión. Me llamaron para hablar, mañana tengo que estar en la oficina a ver qué es lo que me van a decir. Es la suspensión más drástica que yo conozca, que hayan puesto a una persona. Y no sé, vamos a ver cómo se desarrollan los acontecimientos. Estamos en las manos del Señor.
Bueno, suerte con eso.
She said that she doesn't know what's going to happen. She has been very hurt the way that some people had things that people have been saying, people that we know since we were children, but that she understands that the passion of the moment, and that she have a meeting with the executive that are calling her tomorrow, and she's going to go and listen to see what they have to say.
Thank you, Arelis, for that. Yes. And so what about, our U.S. Elected officials of Dominican descent? Where are they on this issue? Have they, Gina, have you tried reaching out to them? Has there been conversations about them supporting the 3 exceptions? We think of folks like Congressman Adriano Espaillat. There's now people within the Biden administration, like Julissa Reynoso, who is chairing a policy group of women and girls. Have any of them commented or been reached out to?
So that is funny. We at the beginning, I think this was in November, we were thinking about reaching out to Adriano, and from the conversations we had with people in our group here in diaspora, it seemed that there was a worry around if this is something that they can pronounce themselves for, and we were kind of discouraged to reach out to them. But we have been reached out by Joanna Garcia, who is right now, she is the chief staff in the New York State Senate, and she has been pronounced for the 3 causales. So,
and she's also a candidate for the New York City Council District 10.
Exactly. So she's the only one that has come forward and actually reached out to us regarding this matter.
Interesting. Because I would think, it's always a funny thing with our electeds here, right? Because I think at one point in their career, they were very much pro-lifers. And then, because of New York politics, they've become pro-choice. But that doesn't necessarily mean it translates into Dominican politics. Right. And I am of the position, and I would advise, and, that there really should be a conversation with these folks, because the reality is, they do a lot of fundraising and collaboration and a lot of things with the Dominican Republic. And whenever there's a presidential election or anything, those candidates come to New York and they're seeking money and they're seeking support, you know, I think while it, you know, it is challenging, is, you know, something worthy of having a conversation. So we have 2 more minutes. If you guys just want to say a few last words and just want to, you know, point us to your website. Before we do that, I want to make sure that people know there is a petition going around to support Reverend Betania Figueroa. Please go on to change.org, apoyo a la Reverenda Betania Figueroa. We will be posting that link for all of you. Please sign on and support her. Gina, how can we support the women that are in front of the Palacio and the movement in the diaspora?
Yeah, so please, if you want to follow with all of the activities that are happening in the Dominican Republic, follow on Instagram or Twitter, RD3 Causales. So that is RD3, number 3, Causales, which is CAUSALES. Again, RD3, the number 3, Causales, which is CAUSALES. And you can find out through there if you want to donate directly to the camp. There are several accounts where you can do it. There's also a PayPal for us that are here in diaspora. And just please follow here my Instagram. I'll be amplifying everything that's happening here. And yeah, be on the lookout. This Thursday, Noam Chomsky will actually have this event speaking of how this is an international issue and how this is a human rights issue.
Thank you so much, Gina. Reverenda Betania, unos últimos palabras para nosotras.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Esta situación es más grande que yo. Es una causa de las mujeres, de la libertad de las mujeres para decidir sobre su cuerpo. El Señor nos hizo varón y hembra, nos creó a su imagen y semejanza. Y tenemos la misma dignidad como ser humano que el hombre. Y espero que podamos realmente un día celebrar nuestra libertad como nos la ha otorgado nuestro Señor Jesucristo, en el cual tenemos vida y vida en abundancia. El Señor les bendiga y muchas gracias.
Amén. Gracias, Reverenda Betania Figueroa. Gracias, Arelis. Gracias, Gina, todo por tu tiempo. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know that all of this work takes a toll on your mind, your spirit, your health, but please continue there. Take care of yourselves. Rest as much as you can, especially this weekend. You know, Good Friday and Easter. And again, thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, again, for giving us this platform. Zenaida Mendez, our executive producer, Freddie Pinto, the studio manager, and our whole team that really made this happen for us today. Thank you again. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Buenas noches.